Hey guys, it's Jen and I am here to create a layout today using the May Stories by the Month kit from Ali Edwards. And I'm going to be scrapbooking this photo of me and my bestie. This is just, we were out shopping at some boutiques and this is a mirror on the wall, and so we took a selfie. And I just think it's a fun photo. And before I get started with this, I just want to show you the May kit really quickly. Each month you get a set of journaling cards, a 3x4 stamp set, and a 4x6 chipboard sheet, which I absolutely love this chipboard. It's super inexpensive. If you're not a subscriber, I would definitely suggest subscribing. There may be a wait list, but I will put a link in the video description to where you can check that out. But it's a great little collection of supplies. If you are a pocket scrapbooker, it's perfect. If not, I am mostly using mine for 12x12 and 8.5x11 layouts. So you can check that with me. Each month I'll be creating at least one. And let's go ahead. Let me just really quickly show you the products and then we'll go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, we have a chipboard sheet. Now these Stories by the Month kits are more themed than the story kits. And so this one is for May. There's a lot of stuff about moms and Mother's Day because that's a thing in May. And then also there's stuff about self-care and hanging out with friends. So you'll see a bunch of different kinds of things like that. So the stamp set says taking care of me, I matter, my story matters, bring it on, special moments, hangout time, Mother's Day, party time, and mama love. So that's that. And then for the cards, we have good times plus crazy friends equals amazing memories. This card that's just patterned, girl time, love getting together, mom stories. There's also a mom stories. So thankful for you, moms, super love you. So there's some for all people, date night, agenda, and reflections. So here's the mom stories version of that card. Hanging out with myself and loving it. So thankful for you, mom, super love you. And bring on the self-care. My self-care right now looks like this. And then for the 12x12, for the 4x6, we have be the instrument playing the sound of your life's passing. May stories. Taking care of me. And then there's a bunch of stuff right here. Hobby, reading, getting out, stuff like that. Mother's Day, stories of my day, so you can tell your story as a mother, and then friends rock. So what I'm planning to do today, because I'm using this photo of me and my friend, I'm going to use all of the friend kind of stuff. So I plan to use the friends rock, this good times plus crazy friends equals amazing memories. I might use this just patterned card as well. And that's where I'm going to start with this. I have some of my other like Ali Edwards stickers and stuff on hand just in case I want to add some things to this. I might end up cutting this out and using it as a title, but I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and let you watch my process.
So I've been trying to use patterned paper as backgrounds lately just to challenge myself because I've been doing a lot of white backgrounds lately. So I'm going to use this paper, and this is from Echo Park Teacher's Pet, designed by Jen Gallagher. And I'm using this because I love this circular pattern. I've been obsessed with circles lately. I punched my photo into a circle and it's going to be in the center. And then I'm going to hand cut these little letters out and place them on one of the lines for my title, and it just says Friends Rock. And then I'm going to cut out this line of text below it, and I thought about leaving it straight and maybe overlapping it on the photo, so that's why it's just resting there now, but I will end up cutting it up. I'm looking at the chipboard to see what I might want to use, and what my plan is right now is to kind of just scatter circles all around on the layout. So I've gone ahead and punched out the good times, and I've got some chipboard pieces, and I'm going to cut these little words into individual, or this like strip of words into individual words so that I can make it rounded to go around that circle. And at first I thought I would do the sentences split up, but they are just still going to be a little bit too straight to go around that curve. So I used a 1-inch circle punch to punch a white circle to make that half circle a whole circle, because it's not going to quite work as a half circle unless I put it on the edge of the page, and I don't plan to do that. And now what I'm doing is I'm trying this hangout time stamp from this stamp set here, and I pulled out a variety of my Ali Edwards ink pads here, and because I don't know what color I want to use yet, and so I'm just stamping a bunch of them. And so I have red, I have pink, and I have this kind of greenish blue, and then I have this really light blue, and I'm pretty sure that's Columbia. I'll link to where you can find those ink pads. I really like Ali's ink pads. I end up actually just going with black, but I'm using the second generation, which means that I stamp it and then I stamp it again, so the ink is lighter. And these Crafters inks, because they're more like a pigment ink, which means they're more painty, you get a nice second generation stamp. It's still pretty clear. So I'm just punching those out now with my 1 1/4 inch circle punch, which is just a little bit larger than it, so I think it works out nicely. And then I'm just kind of testing out what I want to use, and I end up really liking the one that I stamped on that yellow pattern paper. It's just kind of like a painty look, so it's pretty subtle. And what I decide now is that I want my photo is super white, and so to just give it a little pop, I'm just putting it on some black cardstock and cutting around that circle. I didn't have a punch that was just the right size for that or anything, so I just hand cut a little tiny frame around it. And I wanted to bring in a little bit of that heaviness since the cards have like a really super dark gray in them. And that's part of the reason why I did the second generation stamping too, is because I felt like the black was a little too heavy. In fact, I thought of trying to look for a lighter gray or like a light black color to mount my photo on, but I just didn't have one in my stash. So here I'm just putting that circle onto that the half circle onto the circle to make a full thing, and I plan to stamp the date on that. And now you can see that I also punched out circles from that 3x4 card that just had the pattern on it, the blue, and I'm putting that around as well. So I'm going to play with a lot of circles here, and it's going to take me a while to decide exactly how I want to arrange them, so you're going to have to bear with me on that part. But I'm punching out some more of the circles. What I like about the chipboard is that you can just kind of like push the chipboard through, and the adhesive stays on the back. And what I'm doing now too is going through all of my old chipboard from different sheets from different story kits and different stories by the month kits from Ali Edwards past, and I'm trying to find different sizes of circles, so I'm searching through just my whole stash here. And if you haven't had any chipboard from Ali Edwards, it's one of my favorite embellishments. So I went and dug through my stash a little bit more and got some other things from past story kits, including that big white circle that says keep exploring, and I'll end up bringing 2 more of those circles into the layout. And then from the Bond story kit, I had these little rubber shapes, and one of them says special bond, one says better together, and one says you and me, and I will end up using those on the layout as well. I have that BFF one, and that's from the Best story kit. And like I said, I just grabbed a bunch of stuff from past story kits. It's easy to find circles because Ali loves circles and includes them in lots of her kits. So those ones that I just used, I think, are from a past day in the life kit. And they are like kind of puffy shapes. They're the kind of plasticky puffy shapes, not the really soft ones, but they're really cute. And here are some stickers that are from a newer sticker bundle she has. If there's any of these things are still available in her shop, I will definitely link to them. But the story kit stuff, I'm pretty sure, is not. I will link to the digital kit if it's available. So like I mentioned, I'm going to play around with the circles a lot. I'm going to move them around a lot. And what I'm basically trying to do is make sure I get a good even distribution of color and of size. So I don't want too many of the same size circle next to each other, and I don't want too many of the same color next to each other. I'm trying to make those visual triangles with the colors, especially the pops of color, like that kind of orangey red. You can see right now it's in 3 different areas on the layout, and it's kind of, as you look from piece to piece, it draws your eye around the photos, and that's around the photo, and that's what I want it to do. So I'm going to just look through all of my varieties of circles here and find different pieces to fill up the background. And this kind of, even though these lines look like school paper in a circle, it kind of reminds me of a solar system because of the way that I put all of the circles around, and I kind of like that. So here's where I cut all of those little word pieces. I cut out the individual words instead of keeping them in strips so I could curve them more around the bottom of my title and around my photo. And I like the way that little arrow pointing right at us on the photo, it draws your attention there because we're kind of small in the photo. And so I think that's a good little addition. I'm just using some Scotch Quick Dry adhesive to glue down all of those pieces, and now I am cutting out some foam to put on the back of my photo, and I'm going to pop a variety of different things up on this layout just because I like having the different heights and different textures. And so the chipboard is already kind of popped up, right? But some of the pieces that are paper I will pop up, and then I do pop up I think a few of the chipboard pieces so they're even more dimensional. And right now I know I want to stitch on this layout, and so I'm thinking about where the stitch lines will go because my plan is to stitch around those pink dotted lines that are in between each of the green lines. And so I'm just keeping that in mind as I place my circles down because I want to be able to stitch through some of the circles. I decided to take out the Special Moments stamp, and I did a second generation stamp on that one as well to match my Hangout time stamp I did earlier. And I just don't want those patterned papers that I punched from the journaling card to be super plain. And so I wanted to add a little something to them. So there's lots of words going on, and all of these words have to do with kind of our relationship and how we hang out all the time, and all of them just mean a little something. And so I just went with words and icons that I felt really worked with this story. And one thing I wanted to mention about this stories is I love Allie's kits for helping me tell stories, specifically the story kits, which are the monthly, like really thought-provoking story kits. These Stories by the Month kits are a little bit more themed, and I find myself wanting to tell, I still want to tell my stories, but I tell a little bit more lighthearted kinds of things a lot. And so this is kind of one of those where I don't need a ton, I don't have a ton to say, but I still want to get it documented. But I have lots of other layouts where I have a ton to say. So, okay, so I'm looking through some of my older stamps from past Stories by the Month kits to see if there's something else that I want to stamp on that smaller blue circle. And this one is actually one that I think came in a Week in the Life kit, or maybe I ordered it. I can't remember. Again, I'll link to anything that is still available in Allie's shop. But I just did that same thing where I stamped it and then I stamped it again with the second generation onto that circle I had punched. So going through my circles one more time to see what I can find, and I'm trying to look too for a half circle that might work because I only have one half circle on the layout, and it has that punched paper underneath, so it's half white and half of that other of the chipboard. And so I just want to make sure I can repeat elements. So here you can see I've gone through my stash and I've pulled out some more of those circles, the white circles, and I'm going to use one of them for journaling. The one that says who, what, when, where, why is the one I was thinking of. I actually mess it up and I'm going to switch it out at the end with a different card. But I also switched out those two little black stickers because one had a star on it and then I put a gray star kind of near it, and I didn't want them to be too close together. So again, whenever I sprinkle stuff around like this, I look at shape, color, and size, and I just want to make sure that too many of the same thing, of the same size, same shape, or same color aren't close together. And speaking of that, if any of you guys like thinking about that kind of stuff, if you've ever played the game Set, that's really fun, so look it up. I'll leave a link in the video description, which is a random off-topic thing to say, but anyway, so I'm looking for something again to stamp on that pink, and that's from another journal card. That's from the 4x6 May Stories journaling card, and I wanted to match that Love Us chipboard circle because there's not much pink in the layout, and so I decided to stamp again in black on that piece, but then I felt like it didn't quite match.
I just found the best washi tape.
Okay, my friend CJ, who's in this picture sitting next to me and looking for washi tape online. So anyway, what I was trying to do was match that Love Us chipboard shape, and so I stamped the heart in black first, and then I stamped it in red, but it wasn't quite right, and so I stamped it in orange, and because the orange is on top of the pink, it kind of gives that reddish orange color, and it matches the Love Us perfectly. So it kind of sounds strange, but I stamped the orange on the pink and it matches so great. And then I just punched that out with my 1 1/4 inch circle punch. So now you can see I have pink in 3 spots. I'm just trying to make sure that I get all of those colors spread around. And I added the rubber pieces again, and I've added in some more just different stickers and pieces that I've had in my stash. So here's something I wanted to try, and I actually end up messing it up the first time. But this is a screen that I got from Allie quite a while back, and I can't remember if it came in a kit or what, but I thought I could make double lines with this screen. So I'm using some Mount St. Helens ink, or it's not ink, it's paint. I make sure it's dry, and then I'm going to put the screen on again because I wanted to do lines between the lines so I could write really small. You'll see in a second it doesn't end up working out, and that's okay. I'm just using a little spatula there, a plastic spatula, to scrape on the paint, and then when I lift it up you can see the lines are way too close together, and so I have to do it again. So I'm sad because that said who, what, when, where, why, and I thought that would be the perfect card for journaling. But I found one that said this life, and so I'm just going to use that. And I'm just going to do the single row of lines, not try to get the other row in, and that will be sufficient. So what I'm doing now is I got a little bit of paint where I didn't want it, and so I just used my X-Acto knife to scratch it off a little, and then as I write you're not going to be able to really tell that it was there, so no big deal. There were some of the lines I wanted to go over just a little bit more than what I got, and so I'm just using the palette knife to fill in the blanks a little bit here, and a baby wipe to wipe that off. So I'm going to make sure it's completely dry before I write on it, and I'm just going to use, I think I use my favorite black Muji pen to write my journaling here. And as always, I will link to available products in the video description. They are affiliate links, and if you choose to use those, I get a small commission. And thank you for supporting me in that way if you choose to do so. It helps me bring you more videos. So there I've got my journaling written down. And I just talked about how shopping's not my favorite thing ever. It never was, but my favorite thing now is shopping with my friend on Fridays because we have so much fun. So I'm just going to glue down the circles, and I'm only putting a little bit of adhesive on them, and those are the ones I'm going to stitch down. So I don't want to put too much adhesive. And everything that's not going to get stitched down, I'm going to move off the page because I'm going to take the rest of this over to my sewing machine. So I did take a picture, or I will take a picture with my phone so that when I come back to it, I know where everything went. And I think that's just a good little trick to do. You can see with that white circle on the side, I put it on the page so that you could see that whole phrase, so the phrase didn't get cut in half, so you can see part of the journey is the phrase, and you can see the whole phrase as I overlapped it on the page. And whenever I use circles like this and I put a ton of them on, I think it's really important to make some of them go off the page. And so you can see where I've done that on each side. There's a couple at the top, at least one on each side, and then on the bottom as well. And I think that just, I don't know, it helps it feel like everything's grounded somehow, even though it's all floating in space, and almost literal space on this layout because, like I mentioned, it looks like the solar system. So I'm just cutting off the excess pieces that were hanging over the sides, and then I'm going to grab my sewing machine and stitch through. And so here I've done all the stitching. It's hard to see, but you can kind of. I stitched between each of those green lines, and I'm gonna lift up the title, Friends Rock. I just kind of pull it up with my fingers a little bit, and then I am going to rough up the edges of some of those circles with my fingernail as well. I just kind of scratch it, and it works really well. So I popped up my journaling, I popped up the center, and there's where I'm referencing my photo to see where I had everything put before. And I'm just gonna glue everything down, and then after I get all of these things layered on, I'm pretty much done with the layout. So I don't know if you have noticed if you're watching my videos, but I have been doing a lot of layouts with circles lately. It's just, I really love circles, and they're very prevalent and easy to find. They're a classic shape that doesn't go out of style, and so I definitely challenge you to try something with circles this week. I also wanted to let you guys know that if you've been watching my Use It or Lose It series, I did create a Facebook group based on popular demand, and you can find us over on Crafty Use It or Lose It on Facebook, and there will be a link to that in the video description too. Of course, I will link to Allie's shop in the video description as well, and I hope that you check out these kits. They're really inexpensive and really awesome products to work with, and I will be seeing you again very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.